Okay, Lydia, you good to start? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Caldwell-West Caldwell Board of Education meeting today, Monday, March 16th. The board met in executive session at 6 o'clock p.m. in James Caldwell High School, room 105, located at 265 Westville Avenue in West Caldwell, New Jersey. The purpose of that meeting was to discuss personnel, litigation, miscellaneous, and old business matters. That meeting has been advertised and is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act and NJSA 10:4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law. The matters discussed will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required, and formal action pursuant to said discussion shall take place only at a meeting to which the public has been invited. The regular public conference meeting is beginning tonight at 7:04 p.m. here in the James Caldwell High School cafeteria. The Board of Education meeting is being streamed live, but all community questions and comments will be welcomed here in person only. The Caldwell-West Caldwell Board of Education public conference meeting is also in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act and NJSA 10:4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law. Notices have been sent to the Progress in Caldwell, New Jersey, Star Ledger in Newark, New Jersey, and Tap Into West Essex. Notices have also been posted at the Board of Education Business Office, the Harrison School Building, Gray Street, West Caldwell, and have been delivered to the clerks of the Borough of Caldwell and the Township of West Caldwell for posting. Brian, can you please take the roll?
Yes. Mr. Diambola.
Here.
Ms. DiMartini.
Here.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Here.
Ms. Mack.
Here.
Ms. Grosso.
Here.
So we have 5 voting members present. We have a quorum.
Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brian, are there any communications for the board?
There were none.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to the superintendent's report. Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few updates and reminders for the board this evening. So just a reminder that elementary report cards were issued today and parents should be able to access those. It was also the first day of our NG-GPA assessment for grade 11 students, and that assessment window is going to be through the rest of the week. On Wednesday, March 18th at 6:30 in the Grover Cleveland Middle School auditorium, we have the GCMS 100th anniversary celebration that takes place at 6:30 p.m. This culminating event has been in the planning stages for a very long time. And I'd just like to thank Mr. Bertolo, his staff, parents, students, and friends who contributed to putting this wonderful celebration together. So we can't wait to participate in that. On Thursday, March 19th at 6:30, please join us for our most recent Community Connections Parent Workshop entitled The Impact of Screens and Social Media, What All Parents Must Know and Do. Our presenter is Lauren Moriello, who will also be providing another workshop later this year. This program will also be live streamed. On Saturday, March 21st, the district's annual music marathon will be held at James Caldwell High School from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I encourage you to come to hear our outstanding young musicians. The schedule for the event is located on our district website under the Instruction and Curriculum tab, and then by clicking on the music program link. I recently had opportunities to read to students as both a Read Across America reader and as a secret reader. I truly enjoyed visiting classrooms and engaging with students by sharing a good story. Thank you to all of our principals and teachers for your generous gift of time that you take out of your busy day as you invite guest readers into your classrooms. That concludes my report for this evening. Board members, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Questions? No? Okay. And just as part of the president's report, just to reiterate the music marathon, really we just encourage everyone to support our music and arts. The girls basketball team played in their championship final at Rutgers on Saturday. They came up short, but it was the first time in 30 years they made it to that game. We're very proud of them and their efforts. They lost to a very good Manasquan team. And then since the first time since 1995, we had 2 wrestlers medal in the finals in the state tournament in Atlantic City. Carmine Sipper, senior, came in 4th place in the state in his weight class of 120 pounds, and Solomon Sorienti came in 8th place. I think his weight, is 138. And so we're very proud of all of the boys who made it down there, and particularly Carmine and Sal, who've made history here at the school. And then we have SpongeBob is in rehearsals at GCMS. So exciting, cannot wait to see that. And that's going to be in May. So hopefully maybe, I know we're going to get the winter athletes in here sometime to honor them. And maybe we could have a little sneak peek of SpongeBob. That would be fun.
I will do my best
That would
to
be
find
great.
that out.
And that concludes the president's report. We have committee reports tonight. We have finance and facilities, so we'll start with Danielle.
The Finance and Facilities Committee met via Google Meet on March 12th for approximately 1 hour. Board committee members present included President Julianne Grosso and myself, Vice President Danielle Mack. Business Administrator Brian McCarthy and Interim Superintendent Dr. Lydia Finari were present from the administration. The committee reviewed all finance and facility agenda items that are included on tonight's regular meeting agenda. Just some highlights from the meeting included details for the tentative FY27 budget and the submission of the same to the NJDOE for approval. The budget includes a proposed 3.9% in tax levy increase. Another highlight, expenditures from the capital reserve account that include a proposed $6 million withdrawal for the demolition and construction of a new field house at James Caldwell High School, and the $1 million withdrawal for a new Washington School elevator. And these items are included in our FY27 budget. Another highlight, we discussed some solutions and actions for roofing repairs at Jefferson and Wilson elementary schools. The district is actively working with Tremco to address and remediate these issues. Brian, our business administrator, is also in communication with the School Development Authority regarding possible funding subsidies, such as ROD grants. I also just wanted to highlight something that's on the agenda, which is a donation that we accepted from the Jefferson School HSA. It was just a really cool, different thing that they purchased for the school, which was a book vending machine. So like a vending machine that we have with drinks and snacks, these are books. So I know the kids are really excited, and I just wanted to highlight that because it's Read Across America recently, and we're excited. We were excited to see that. That's it.
Any questions from the board? Great, and then we have personnel.
Yep.
Carrie.
So we met virtually on March 5th. It was Dr. Fernari, Ms. Landafi Jefferson, and myself. Dr. Fernari shared with us the most recent list of staff retirements. There are 6 staff who have submitted letters of intent to retire at the end of this school year. Additional staffing matters were also discussed concerning the benefits programs and evaluation of staff. Dr. Fernari shared information about CPR classes that are being offered to staff. The next course offering will actually appear on tonight's agenda, and our next meeting will be on April 9th.
Great. Any questions about personnel from the board? Okay. Great. So now we'll move to approve the minutes. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And a second?
I'll second it.
And then Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes, Mr. Diavola.
Yes.
Ms. DiMartini.
Yes.
Ms. Landafi Jefferson.
Yes.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Okay, we're going to open up public comments on agenda items only right now. Public participation shall be governed by the following. Participant must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of their name and address. Statements are to be limited to 3 minutes duration. Participant may speak no more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. Boards use the public comment period of the meeting as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but not to debate issues or enter into a question and answer session or a cross-examination between the public and individual members. Please be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved this evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate an issue to the superintendent or her designee. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, and/or terminate a participant's comments if they exceed the allotted time or are objectively obscene. Participants may be civilly liable for any obscene, defamatory, or slanderous statements made during the public comment portion of the meeting. Would anyone like to get up and address the board on anything on the agenda at this point in time? Oh. Okay. Then this is a voting meeting, so we're going to go on and vote through the agenda and then open up public comment for anyone else at the end who would like to address us on anything. So let's start with curriculum and technology. Marisa?
Upon recommendations of the superintendent of schools, motions to approve item A through F under curriculum and technology on this evening's agenda.
And can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
And then Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Mr. Diavola.
Yes.
Ms. DiMartini.
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Yes.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
And personnel?
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve items A through L under certificated staff and items A through C under non-certificated staff in personnel on this evening's agenda.
And can I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
And then Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Mr. Diavola.
Yes.
Ms. DiMartini.
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Yes.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep, yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Okay, finance and facilities. Dan, it's right here on 21. Under here, it's right here. Yep. So we're on finance and facilities.
Okay. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve items A through M under finance and item A under facilities on this evening's agenda.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
And then Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Ms. Diavola.
Yes.
Mr. Diavola.
Yes.
Miss. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I corrected that. Ms. DiMartini.
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Yes.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Okay, and then finally, we have policy.
Upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve items A and B under policy on this evening's agenda.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
And then Brian.
Yes. Mr. Diavola.
Yes.
Ms. DiMartini.
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Yes.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Okay, now opening up public comment portion of the meeting for anything on or off the agenda. Again, to remind everyone, public participation shall be governed by the following. Participant must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of their name and address. Statements are to be limited to 3 minutes duration. Participant may speak no more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. Once again, boards use the public comment period of the meeting as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but not to debate issues or enter into a question and answer session or a cross-examination between the public and individual members. Please be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved this evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate the issue to the superintendent or her designee. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, and/or terminate a participant's comments if they exceed the allotted time or are objectively obscene. Participants may be civilly liable for any obscene, defamatory, or slanderous statements made during the public comment portion of the meeting. So would anyone like to just get up and address the board on anything on or off the agenda? Yeah, absolutely. Please come up.
Hi, my name is Kurt Padilla. I'm a parent. My daughter goes to Jefferson. I'm here because I've been pretty frustrated recently with the Discover Champions program. We've been, using it pretty happily since 2023, but lately I think at the end of January, they transitioned to a new billing and scheduling system that is incredibly frustrating to use. Frequently, if you need to change your schedule or check on billing, you are on hold for hours. Anecdotally, the last time I called in, they wouldn't even take my call because there were too many people in the queue. And prior to that, we ate dinner. We did our whole bedtime routine, including reading stories with me, putting the hold on hold, and then, preparing coffee for the next morning. And then a nice lady answered the phone and tried to, help me out through that problem, which seemingly solved the issue I had until the following week when I tried to get us get our schedule sorted out like we're supposed to do every week, and I found out that I was like unenrolled from the system, like inexplicably. They wanted another fee to re-enroll, which I was like, all right, I'll pay it and then dispute it later. I got an error on the website that I couldn't do that. And then, the next day I got an email back saying, oh, it's too late to change schedules, because that was Thursday, even though I had. Anyway, that's my personal anecdote. I've talked to other parents about it. They've run into similar issues, including being repeatedly overcharged, and needing to fight that somehow. My understanding that none of the parents I've spoken with have brought these concerns to the board, as far as I know. So maybe the board isn't aware. The Discover Champions characterizes this as bugs that they're working through, that they anticipated having in the run-up to the transition. Basically it's just, really disappointing. So, our complaints as parents aren't getting anywhere with Champions. So, I'm here to, petition, I guess, hopefully the board has some leverage over Champions to get them to fix these bugs. Just, I guess, ask more generally, like, why. I know that the district has been using Champions since 2022. That we need someone to run before and after care programs. How long is it? When does the district go to bid, I guess, for a new provider? How often is the provider reviewed? How do we get feedback from parents as to how Champions or whomever is running it? I guess it was YMCA might have been doing it at one or all of the schools beforehand. So that's my big gripe while I'm here.
Brian, you wanted to comment?
If you don't mind.
Please, yes.
Thank you for coming, and I think you emailed me.
I did, yeah.
And completely empathetic to your concerns. We hired Champions in 22, and as a district, we've largely been satisfied with their support to community. I mean, they are very proactive to try to find, when the school's closed, to make sure that, hey, can we be open? Because obviously parents need before and after care services. So we like that. We've been happy with their whatever curriculum they provided as well. So overall, it's been a positive experience, albeit, it's recently, right? It's more of a recent problem, and I said I'm hoping that there's bugs that are going to be worked out and you're not penalized, but we've been very satisfied with their services up to date, and I just got to be frustrating, and I'm hoping in a little time they're going to work out these bugs, because it does adversely affect parents. I agree.
Yeah, I've been satisfied with them. Like my kid thinks the programs are great, as since 2023, like I said, but it's been a real change this year. They got rid of the site director they had at Jefferson was fine. Like, in fact, all the site directors we had until this year, they switched out the one we had. Now there's no communications. There's no, feedback or seemingly programming, or, just kind of like the stuff we kind of took for granted, like newsletters or whatever coming. So it just, and then just this abrupt change to this system, the system they had was working. It's inexplicable. I wouldn't characterize it as bugs. Maybe if this lasted for like a week or two after the transition, but we're going into month 2 of this, I guess. So, and
I can if it's
Yes.
I can follow up. I mean,
Okay.
Again, if it's still happening after 2 months, then it's more than a bug. And I
Absolutely.
will follow up. I was trying to give you, I think we spoke a couple weeks ago, or at least the last couple of weeks.
yeah, it was, some email correspondence. Yeah.
Yeah, or email correspondence. I
Right.
spoke. We corresponded by email.
Right.
And I'll reach out to them. They have had some turnover. You know, even in our area director was promoted, reassigned. You know, Storm Mathis, and he got promoted as well. So I'll check.
Okay.
And I'll report back.
All right.
To
Yeah, and
you and the board, okay?
I just want to say thank you for coming, because you were the first person who has come to the board meeting and talked about this. If you hadn't, I mean, we don't have children in the Champions program, so for you to come here, it puts it on our radar, and we will make sure that everything is followed up on, because you're obviously not the only person having issues, and to your point, like, they are a vendor of the district, right? So we expect a certain level of of customer service and care, like, we're taking care of children here.
Right.
So if things are not working right and you're having trouble communicating with them, then it's our responsibility, since we're contracting them as a vendor, to make sure that they are communicative and they fix these bugs. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
And I know Brian will get back to you too, because he has your email.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yep. Kevin. Good evening.
Kevin Murray from 478 Passaic Avenue. Couple of questions, follow up from last week when I asked about the capital reserve expenditures. Can I ask, how did we build up $9 million in capital reserve? Where did that money come from? Was that money that you had left from one of the bonds that got dumped into capital reserve?
No, you're not allowed to do that with bonds. Whenever you have excess on bonds, they have to be returned to the taxpayers.
Okay, so how did we get to $9 million?
I'm gonna let
Oh,
Brian.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Brian answer that.
So, over the last 5 years, we've been fortunate to run a budget where we've been conservative, and we've had cash at the end of the year that we've been able to put in some of our reserve accounts. So capital reserve, maintenance reserve, and emergency reserve. So it's, you know, I think proper budgeting, you want, if possible, you want to be conservative in your expense projections, and we have been conservative, and so we've had some money left over every year, and we've been able to build up that account. We also, I'd say that the largest part, I do know when we had COVID, many districts, we did receive a lot of federal money. That did help, because we could spend some of these programs. You're not supposed to supplant, but some of the money, essentially, we didn't have to do programs because the federal government was providing that. So for a couple of years, that helped our operations as well.
You have leaky roofs in Jefferson School, Wilson, and now the high school too. My son was telling me the 500 wing, the roof with the hallway was dripping water today. Where does that money come from when you go to repair stuff like that?
So the roofs, you said where it's Jefferson?
Jefferson, Wilson, and now the high school.
So
that I know of.
we're exploring, as part of it may be financed through ROD grants. I think we alluded to that early in the meeting. We're looking at it. The roofs, we've known that they need to be replaced. We do have some issues with solar panels and their contracts as far as to fix them and what we'd have to do to get out of those current contracts. But some of the costs to repair is going to come out of capital reserve, and we also are going back to some funding through the state school development authority, and we're hoping that they're going to reopen some funding for the roofs as well.
Okay. And I guess one other question on cap reserve. When you withdraw $7 million from capital reserve, does anyone from the state have to approve that, or is that solely in your discretion?
What's more,
So we approved the budget tonight.
Right.
So in the budget, we have line items that detail what the withdrawals are for. So we put in there that we are planning to withdraw $6 million for a James Caldwell High School field house, and I also have a line in there that details the withdrawal of $1 million for the Washington School elevator. So it's submitted to the DOE, and if they have any questions, they'd come back and they would ask if they think it's...
Can they deny that?
Can they deny that?
That use of the funds, or is that just solely your?
You know, I think if they think we are operating prudently, that I don't expect there's any reason why they would deny the operations of the board's decisions.
Okay. Just 2 other quick questions, if you can. I know the capital reserve, you have roughly $9 million in. Are there any other reserves? You said maintenance reserve. What other reserves does the school system
We have
board?
an account called emergency reserve, which is like about $500,000 in there.
And that's
it-
for if you get a leak in the roof to go
No,
repair?
that's
or-
really for what it sounds like emergencies. It's really, it could be for security, it could be for a number of things. Roofs are typically not where you're spending that. It could, you know, could be things that are emergent, all right? Roofs are not quite as emergent. It could be more, it could be security, it could be a hole in your budget, and you had no other choice but to say, I need to have this money, and you have to go through the state for the withdrawal, and it's a much, it goes up to commissioner. It's a much more lengthy process to pull the money out.
Gotcha. And then the other one was, I see on the taxing authority, you're going for the max, the 3.9, which bumps the tax draw up $2 million. If you're doing effective budgeting and you have cap reserves at the end of the year, why do we have to raise the full $2 million?
Sure.
It's not,
All right.
we're not
So-
taking the full
so
taxing
actually,
authority, not by a long
we're
shot.
we're not raising taxes as much as we can this year. So the reason we
What
have.
is the max you can raise?
We go up to almost 6%, 5.82.
When did
to
they
be
change?
exact.
I thought it was capped at like under 3%.
So
a
what
few
happens
years
is
ago.
there's a law that you can raise taxes by statute for 2%. Right, and that's everyone knows that, not everyone, we've heard that, 2% by statute. And the other allowable reasons that you can raise taxes are for, you can have an enrollment adjustment, so schools that have a large influx of students and now they need more revenue to pay for the new students.
Right.
Sometimes the state will give you an enrollment adjustment, so it's actually an adjustment to the tax levy to the statute. The other adjustment is a healthcare adjustment. So our school district, much like other districts around here and in the state, we had a 25% increase in our health benefits this year. You read about it in the paper, it can be the Affordable
everywhere.
Care Act, it's very bad. It was a $2 million increase just on health benefits. So if you do the math and we have salaries, we had just salaries and health benefits go up by $3 million. 2% on say a $50 million tax levy is $1 million. So right there you're short $2 million. So we got very tight on the expenses and said we're not going to go up to 6%. We're going to see what we can do to reduce going to the max, but we needed to take the 3.9 to balance.
What triggers it going to a vote for an election? I know if it goes over a certain amount, you have to go out and it has to get voted on by the town. Is that still in play, or?
So if we aren't given these adjustments by the DOE,
Right.
Towns can go out for a special vote for additional taxes. But the laws are such that when they give us these adjustments, it's additional taxing authority, and that's also by statute.
Right. But if you didn't have that, anything above the 2% would trigger.
So if I didn't have the extra authority given to us because of these conditions, then we would have to go out to the town and ask for the money, and you've seen other places they do that when they have shortfalls and
Right.
they say, can we borrow money? But we're given these adjustments to use if the board chooses.
Gotcha. And for the new field house, do you have plans for that people can review?
Not yet. Not yet. We're still in the very early stages of it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But we will be transparent in sharing those when we have them.
Hi, Madeline Brown, 13 Burkendine Road. I guess have a follow-up question. Mr. McCarthy, you said that the reason we have so much capital reserves is because we were able to save money elsewhere. And I understand there's money from different buckets and separate accounts. So can you give an example of what might not have been spent elsewhere that got then put into that capital reserve account?
Sure. So we could look at, our large things could be technology expenditures. It could be expenditures for facilities. Sometimes it could be reductions in breakage. We don't budget for extraordinary aid. So and that's actually, if you look at best practices for budgeting for business administrators and school districts, extraordinary aid, we've been getting about $1 million the last couple of years, and this is something that we apply for in May, and it's based on our special education expenditures for public schools and out-of-district students. We get some of that back, but we don't ever know that we're going to get that, because there have been times in the past where the state doesn't have the funds, and so you don't budget this. So what happens is we do get this, and this allows us to have some extra cash if we do get it. So that's been a large part of the 5 years I've been here, getting money like this and saying we've had those other areas where we're saving money, and then this comes in as well, and then we can put it in for our long-range projects.
But could that be put into more academic programs that maybe had been canceled previously due to budget cuts?
No, because you don't want to budget for permanent long-term expenses if you don't have a conviction that the funds and the revenue side are going to be there. So state aid is sort of, we know the money's going to be there. It's broadcast. This year, for instance, our state aid was flat. We thought it was going to be flat from last year, and that's what we got. But and that's pretty regular. But the extraordinary aid, for instance, you don't know if you're going to get that.
Okay. But now the first thing you mentioned was technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the media center here at the library is using very old MacBooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore 2 different hats, so I don't want to say anything, but I do know that, for example, there is going to be a grant from the Education Foundation that at the end of April we're going to discuss that was $20,000 from the Education Foundation, which is money raised and fundraised through the community. That was, we had a grant applied for that because the district would not fund a new MacBook cart because and I don't know enough about it except that the old MacBook cart was old and not usable, not feasible for what they wanted to do. So if there is extra monies, I'm curious why it's not being used. And I'm not against a field house at all, but I'm curious why the money is not being used currently and then being stockpiled away for other things when there are needs that it can be used for in the district.
Sure.
No, you go ahead, Brian.
So,
you're on.
The MacBooks, so we have a technology department, and they will regularly put in their requests for different types of technology. I think we do a lot with Chromebooks here. I know we have iPads. I'm not sure that the MacBooks, I'm not sure who's using them or were requested, and if they were a priority based on what other type of technology we really have in the district. So I know we're not an Apple district, for instance. So we have iPads. I think some of them are older for the younger grades, but largely we're moving to PCs, Chromebooks, and not so much Apple products as a school.
Right. Typically, I think the art rooms use
Yeah,
the,
you
use
have
those
the
things.
arts and things like those kind of classes that need that because they have more capabilities on the Apple. From what I understand, I'm not a tech
Right.
guy.
No, this is what I understand as well.
Yeah, okay.
But so they're not
Yeah.
their needs are not being met then through the regular district budget, which is why they would necessarily apply for grants. I mean, we have teachers applying for books and classroom libraries and things that they could use right here, right now for their educational needs. So it's a little frustrating to hear that we have $9 million stockpiled if those two buckets can be combined, which is
So
what I'm
that's the
hearing.
problem. They can't be. So when we have funds that are in excess, there are only certain reserve accounts that those funds can roll into.
I guess that's
Right?
what I'm asking.
Yeah,
if I'm not
so,
being clear.
and those funds have restrictions on what you can do with that money. For example, capital projects coming out of that capital reserve account, you can't spend it on other things. It has to be capital projects. If you have things in that, as Mr. McCarthy was talking about the emergency reserve account. Those are for specific emergencies that have to, have very stringent rules and regulations through the State Department as to what we can spend that money on. And when you have monies, unfortunately, we don't have a savings account. Public schools can't budget that way. So when we predict a budget 18 months in advance of the time that that budget is going to actually be implemented, and that's really what we essentially have to do. We are front-loading the educational pieces that need to be implemented in a budget, and we're making those purchases happen. Now, sometimes at the end of a year, before we put money into a reserve account, we're able to get some things done on the educational side that maybe we didn't think we would have the money for. So we do some of the expenditures similar to what you're saying, but probably not in the amounts that would get us a whole new MacBook cart. So there is some of that. We can't pre-purchase, for example, technically, buy things this year that we're not going to use at all until the following school year. There are rules around that too. So as a public entity and as a school district, and if I kind of channeling our auditor a little bit, there are certain things and certain times that we can spend money on for certain things. But once it gets into a reserve account, those reserves are very strictly outlined,
I understand
right?
that. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't know if
Yeah.
there was some way to funnel it back into into the classrooms and into
Right.
those programs and into whatever it is
Right.
before it goes away.
Sure.
To not be seen
And in some- right.
and collects $9 million.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a little of both, because in some ways, when we do have some reserve monies, Mr. McCarthy uses some of that reserve, the prediction, not the reserve, I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong term, some of the excess funds that we might have at the end of a school year to reduce the amount of money we need for the next school year by using some of that money in advance. For example, if we have I'm going to make this up, if we have a new writing program and we want to do a pilot, and we need to purchase materials for some teachers in some classrooms to do that pilot work, we might be able to purchase the teacher materials for the pilot in advance, but we certainly can't purchase the entire district's worth of writing materials in advance. So we do some of that predicting ahead of time as much as we can, but again, we're designing a budget well in advance of the time and the situations that are going to come up. But one of the other things that we do is we've got trajectories of when we need certain things. So when we save on technology, for example, if we have, I'm making all this up, if we have a server and that server's got a shelf life and we know about it, then it's going to need to be replaced 5 years from now, then we would have that in our 5-year plan for technology. We wouldn't be spending on something now that we wouldn't need then. So we would hope that at that point, we would have had enough money in our accounts to plan for that. And the other thing that we don't have, we're not a very big revenue generating operation either. So because school districts don't have a real viable way to generate a whole lot of revenue, we rely on state aid. We rely on the tax authority that we have with the relationship with our communities. So there aren't a whole lot of other ways that we generate large amounts of money. I don't know if that answers your question at all.
A little bit.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, that being said, can I have a motion to enter into executive session at 7:42 p.m.?
I'll make a motion.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
And Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All against, no. Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Great, thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you in April. Oh, I'm choking.